Dead Channel Duo podcast episode number 56. How you doing, Alexander?
Doing well, Andy. How are you?
Fine. Always okay.
Yeah, episode 56, as in 56K. Shout out to all my 90s internet kids out there. I don't miss dial-up internet. Andy, do you remember the dial-up internet at all? Was that even a thing?
We talked about that in episode 1 of this podcast.
We did, didn't we?
So if you want to know my answer, check out episode 1.
Yeah.
You'll find it. I was going to say links in the description, but you'll find it. It's not that hard.
Go to deadchannelduo.com and you can find us on every platform.
All the way down.
Well, yeah, you could scroll all the way down, or you go on iTunes and you could just there's like one button you can click and it downloads every single episode to your phone. Somebody did that this week, so whoever that is, you're obviously starting now. I hope you make it to 56. So if you're that guy who downloaded everything on November 21st, hi, welcome aboard. Anyway, Andy, what have you been watching and playing this week?
I watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Brazil and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas are picked this week, all directed by the same guy. Eliza Schlesinger's stand-up special that came out this week.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Booksmart, and that's it. We had a short week, but I didn't watch anything.
Yeah.
And then I've been playing Call of Duty Zombies for some reason on Black Ops 1.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a short week. We usually record on Wednesdays, and last week we ended up having to push it to Friday. So a little bit of a short week for us. I have been watching job websites all week. I've been really on that, trying to find a job grind. So that's kind of been what I've been working on this week. It kind of made it my job, but I did get some time to squeeze in a few things. So did get a chance to watch episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars. So watched that with Ashley. Didn't watch...
mentioned 1 and 2 last episode.
Oh, well, there you go. My bad. So I did watch episode 3 this week and watched episode 4 last night. And I was...
You should watch Rogue One.
Eventually I'll get there.
It's supposed to be before at 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they literally the ending of Rogue One is the beginning of episode 4. They interlock.
Oh man, so I kind of missed out there.
You missed it.
Yeah, so me and my wife have tried to and by the way, episode 1 and 2 I kind of just saw bits and pieces, but I remember it well enough. But I really liked episode 3 at the time it came out, and even now watching it much later, I found that I still really enjoyed it. So the original trilogy, I know this may shock people, but I've seen them maybe twice altogether. So going back and watching them now as an adult has been quite the experience. But they hold up pretty well, man. So that's been pretty fun. And then I watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And then I've just kind of hopped around on Disney Plus and watched like an episode of this show or an episode of that show.
High School Musical.
No, not really. There's all these things on Disney Plus that I forgot even existed. It's kind of crazy, but it's a pretty cool streaming service thus far. I've been pretty pleasantly surprised with it, and considering I was already paying for Hulu, it's actually a really good bundle with that and ESPN Plus. And then as far as playing this week, it's been World of Warcraft and Forza Horizon 4. Almost exclusively. I can't think of anything else that I played.
No Death Stranding?
Yeah, a little bit of Death Stranding. Totally forgot to mention that one. That game is A1. Love it. It's amazing.
I've heard contrary things.
Okay, well, I just think it's weird, and you kind of expect that, but I think it's also beautiful, and it borders on that line that people have talked about for decades, are video games art. I think this game is probably one game that I would put forth to make that point, that video games can be art. So I know I'm in the minority on that one, but if you're kind of on the fence on Death Stranding, I would say give it a shot. Anyway, moving on to a correction. Oops, we made a mistake. Here's a correction. A segment that we haven't had for a while. Speaking of gaming, This one was sent in by Spoon Sandwich on Twitter, so thanks for that, Jared. He corrected us in saying Xcloud isn't available on iOS because it's currently in beta. So I did not know that. That's news to me. I hope it gets there sooner than later, because I would really like to play some games on my iPhone, just see how it works. I have no idea how well it would work, though. But pretty cool. But thanks for that correction, Jared. We appreciate it, man. You guys got to keep us honest. Anyway, moving on. Listener questions. So first one comes in from @CubanSwim on Twitter, or as Andy has him listed here in the document that we use for notes, Booby Clark. I love it. It's different every week. He says, go ahead.
It gets harder and harder to make up.
Yeah,
ones.
man. It definitely does get harder and harder, but it's just great, man. I freaking love it. He says, hot take: Chiefs either won't make the playoffs or barely make the wild card and bomb out. Patriots have to play through the wild card and don't make it. Thoughts? I stand by my picks in August. Seahawks versus Ravens, and the Ravens win. So, Andy, I'll let you lead off.
No. I mean, his picks in August, they're fine. They're realistic.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs are just, I mean, obviously they have defensive struggles, but the AFC in whole is a huge, like, it's really Chiefs, Patriots, Ravens. That's it.
Yeah. I would agree
say
there.
Someone I'm probably missing somebody, but like the Patriots will make it to the AFC Championship 9 times out of 10. The Chiefs will be battling for it. The Chiefs will make the playoffs. I feel like they'll win their division. If not, they'll get a wild card spot, because since the AFC is so weak, they'll get a wild card spot.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a hot take, and the reason why is for what he's saying to happen. I could be wrong here, like, and I'm sure I may be reading this wrong, but I'm taking this word for word off of Twitter. Who's gonna win the Chiefs division other than the Chiefs?
The Raiders have that's the only person else. The Chargers have been atrocious.
Yeah, I just don't see the Raiders winning that division. And then he puts here that the Patriots have to play through the wild card. I hope there's no way
they're currently 9-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, like, if I know this is really boring commentary on the NFL right now, but if I had to pick which two teams end up with a bye, for me, it's the Patriots and the Ravens, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
The rest of the Patriots' schedule is pretty soft.
Yeah.
And the Ravens' schedule isn't too difficult either.
Yeah, the 49ers, plug my team,
Yeah.
have the toughest 3-game stretch in NFL history coming up. They're the only team this far into the season to play 3 800-plus teams in a row.
Yeah, I mean, the AFC is going to be kind of boring to me. And the reason I say that is, as it sits right now, your playoffs would be Patriots and Ravens getting a bye.
Yeah.
Chiefs would face the Texans, and then the Colts would face the Bills. Out of all 4 of those teams that would play in the first week, the only one I think is any sort of a threat whatsoever to the Ravens or the Patriots is the Chiefs. And even then, I'm not sure. The Chiefs just don't look the same this year.
Did you say the Bills?
Yeah, the Bills right now would make the playoffs.
I was making sure you didn't miss them.
Yeah, I think, like, if I had to predict it, I would say Chiefs beat the Texans. They would go on to face the Ravens. I think the Ravens would win. That sets them up for the AFC Championship, and then the Patriots would face whoever wins between the Colts and the Bills. I think we can all agree that barring some kind of an injury, it would be Colts. And then from there, I think the Patriots make short work of either the Colts or the Bills. I cannot believe the Bills are somehow set up to go to the playoffs, but we'll see how the rest of their year pans out.
Next question.
Yeah, next
Coming in from Colby. Should the Buccaneers take a chance on Tua if the opportunity presents itself? Obviously, this is a question towards you.
Andy, lead off with your thoughts, please.
Should they take him? Obviously, apparently, from what I see on Twitter, they're interested in keeping Jameis Winston. Do I think it's the smartest move? Probably not. I'm not an NFL exec, so, it's his job, not mine.
Mm.
But I don't think Tua is going top 20.
Mm-mm.
So the Bucs are a team that makes sense for him to go there just simply because they need a quarterback. But that would be if they trade back into the first round. I just don't know how realistic that is. But if he falls to them into their second round pick, yeah, I think that's a home run pick.
I just don't think it's a fit. And I know I'm going to get a little bit of heat for saying this, but I honestly don't see Tua as a pro prospect. I just don't. He's left-handed. That presents an issue in and of itself. If you don't believe me, there are 0 NFL quarterbacks currently on an NFL roster, backup or starter, that are left-handed. So I think that's one big question mark. I also think that they're going to stick with Jameis Winston as long as Jason is the GM in Tampa Bay. Jameis Winston is going to be the quarterback. I think he hired Bruce Arians very specifically, not only because of Bruce Arians' skill and his track record, which is outstanding, really great track record. Should have been head coach way sooner in his career. But he knew that there was a prior relationship with Jameis Winston. He knew that Arians was pretty high on the guy. I think that factored into the hiring as well. And he's gone all in on Winston. How quickly we forget Lovie Smith got fired for no reason to keep Dirk Cutter because Dirk Cutter and Winston were working well together and they were afraid Cutter was going to get hired away. So I just don't think that they're going to take a chance on Tua. I don't think that that's realistic. Now, my personal opinion is still the same. I don't think that they should. Honestly, if I'm the Buccaneers, the one quarterback I want to get my hands on really bad would be Trevor Lawrence. I think that guy...
additional year away.
Yeah, I know. And I think he's going to be number one by a huge margin.
Barring injury, obviously.
Yeah, barring some kind of an injury. And I certainly hope that doesn't happen. But that would be the guy I would want to go out and get. If somehow the Bucs tank and they had the number 1 overall pick, or maybe a trade presents itself where they could move up and take Burrow, yeah. I think that's a great move too. I think Burrow is going to be a massive success in the NFL, but I just don't see the Bucs doing that. I think that they're going to double down. They're going to sign Jameis Winston to a long-term deal. Hopefully the GM is smart enough to do kind of like what the Jaguars did with Bortles and give themselves a little bit of an out, or kind of like what the Bengals did with Dalton, where it's basically like a year-to-year contract with a high annual value. But something tells me it's going to be heavily loaded with guarantees. And I think Jameis Winston's the future for probably the next 5 or 6 years, and that makes me sad. But thanks for the question, Colby. Hopefully I'm wrong. Anyway, next listener question comes from Daniel at Reasons I'm Broke on Twitter. He asks, for Nintendo's inevitable next console, should they stay the path of focusing on the handheld features of it over the home console push? According to them, a large chunk of their users play Switch in handheld mode. Andy, what do you think?
I mean, I think what they got currently is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can kind of see a trajectory of what they've been trying to do for a long time since the GameCube. The Wii had the motion controls. The Wii U had the tablet. They weren't quite there yet. Yeah. And now we have the Switch. And I can't tell you what their next console handheld is gonna be. Like I could not tell you. I think it's gonna be in the same style. Like they're not trying to compete with Xbox and PlayStation. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to answer this question, if being honest.
They're unpredictable. I think that's really my takeaway from Nintendo, going all the way back to the N64 era. I sit there and I think about, over the years, about the decisions Nintendo's made, both good and bad. And it's just, at the time, nobody was expecting any of it. So, Super Nintendo was starting to show its age. Everybody was moving to disc-based media, and Nintendo doubles down on a cartridge console in the N64. Then GameCube comes out, everybody's moving towards DVD ROMs, and GameCube goes with the proprietary, I forget the name of the disc, but it was a proprietary format. And that was a little bit of a questionable decision at the time. And like anybody who might be out there questioning why I say that, when I worked at EA, they literally had to cut out a lot of music, video footage, etc. on Madden because it wouldn't all fit on that little disc. Whereas on Xbox and PS2, DVD ROMs back then could store a lot of information for the time. Wii U, Switch, the form factor always changes. My personal opinion is, I don't know what they're going to do. That's just way too hard to predict. But, if I were running Nintendo, I would wait 4 years. Because the Switch has already been out about, I think, 2 now. I could be wrong on that. But I would wait.
I think out in 2015 or 2016.
Really? Is it really
I feel like
that
it's
old?
A lot older.
Let's look this up because okay, so it looks like it
2017.
came out 2017. So me personally, if I'm running Nintendo, I stick with the 5 to 6 year console life expectancy. Yeah. So I would wait 4 years. I go a little bit long on the Switch, and I'd wait for the technology to get better, because I think in 4 years we'll be able to see a console that has a very similar form factor but has a lot more horsepower in it, and would really start to blur the lines between mobile processing and home processing, if that makes sense. And I think it's really possible, especially from a GPU standpoint, the stuff that they're able to do with mobile versions of graphics cards, specifically like what NVIDIA did with the GeForce 1060, 1070, 1080. They had a mobile version of all of those. And if you ever looked at it on a motherboard, it was like a little chip, and it had all that GPU potential in it. And it was very close to what you would get with a traditional graphics card in a desktop unit. So, over time, I think that technology will get cheaper and even smaller, and they'll be able to put a nicer processor in there and get the thermals right. And I think that's what I would do. I think the days of Nintendo doing, don't get me wrong, I would love a GameCube too, right? A little box made by Nintendo, packed to the gills with really nice hardware like the GameCube was. The GameCube put out some great graphics for its time. But, I just don't think they're going to do that anymore. I think they're completely done with a standalone home console. I think this is the merging of two pillars between mobile and home console, and it's working. They're making money hand over fist. So, and yeah, Daniel does make a really good point. A lot of people only play the Switch in handheld mode. I never thought the Switch Lite would be successful, but apparently it's selling really well. So there you go. Anyway, moving on. 2019 Game Awards nominees were announced for those. So, Andy, what got announced? Because I know we have the Game of the Year here.
Yeah, I'm going to scroll down to Indie. I was not prepared for this.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
bunch of esports stuff that no one cares about.
Yeah.
Being honest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to indie because that's kind of your thing. I don't know if you've been playing a lot of indie games this year,
A little bit.
but now for indie, Zaum,
Hmm.
Nomando Studio, Dead Toast Entertain. Oh, these are companies. Never mind. Is this companies? Okay, never mind. I was reading this wrong. For Disco Elysium, for Gris, for my friend Pedro, Outer Worlds, Slay the Spire, and Untitled Goose Game. I really botched all that. But have you played any of those games?
No, I didn't play any of them, but I did see a lot on my friend Pedro, and I think that will obviously be the front runner, in my opinion.
And then Untitled Goose Game is also massively popular.
Yeah, that was really popular on Twitch there for a while.
And then, here we go. Yeah, let's just skip to Game of the Year. I did not prepare the segment. We have nominated for Game of the Year: Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and The Outer Worlds. And first, there's a huge controversy. There's a remake that got nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
What's your opinions on that?
So I don't like it. I know I might be in the minority, but I don't think remakes should be in there. And I recently got into a polite but sort of intense argument with a friend about remakes being too frequent. I think this will be remembered. This generation of consoles will unfortunately be remembered by me as the generation of the remaster. We got all of these remasters and remakes that nobody really wanted, and a lot of them just sat on shelves and collected dust. And if you don't believe me, look no further than Burnout Paradise Remastered that got clearanced out in my area at $10 because it just didn't sell. We didn't need that. Did we really need Sleeping Dogs Remastered? So I'm just kind of tired of regurgitated content, and I don't like that a remake takes a spot from another game. I think there's other games that could have gone in here.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I don't know. It's weird. Like, I get it's a new game technically because they built it from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
But also, yeah, it kind of is banking off of the fact that it was already a thing. Whenever a game like Borderlands 3 could have got the spot.
Well, listen, I friggin' love Link's Awakening on Switch, but I wouldn't put it up there. It's just kind of...
Like, Link's Awakening technically is my game of the year this year,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not giving it to it simply based off of it. Like, it... I don't know, I feel dirty.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah. So out of those games, what do you think is going to win?
Well, definitely not Resident Evil 2. I just don't see how that... God, I just hope it doesn't win. It's a difficult one, man, because there's some really heavy hitters here. Smash Bros. Has to be pretty darn close. I mean, if it was my vote, I would go with Death Stranding, because I feel like it's the one game that really pushed the envelope, did something unique, something really never done before. And then a close second would be Sekiro. I think Sekiro was just unbelievably well done.
Yeah.
I think it's a really big... It's very far removed from the current game design logic when it comes to creating content and continued content. I like that Sekiro was kind of a return to the days of old, where it's like $60 to get the full game. There's no microtransactions, none of that nonsense. It just is what it is. I also enjoyed the return of a game that says, I don't care if it's too hard, you got to learn how to play it.
Yeah.
And I think, and now I almost feel like I would vote for Sekiro over Death Stranding. The thing...
Did you say Smash first?
Well, I think it's definitely up there. I think those are the three that stand out the most. But like, now that I'm talking about it, I think Sekiro should win. The reason why is I just think it led to so many great moments, great gaming moments over the course of the year. Like, I can't tell you how many great playthroughs were made on that game and continue to be made. And it was a really cool gaming experience. It felt really organic. How do you feel about this list, Andy?
I'm gonna approach it how I approach movie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the best game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's what game was like the biggest. So I give it to. I think Death Stranding will win, just because it's like, it's like how the Joker is the movie of the year.
Yeah.
But I think Sekiro deserves it. For being the best game of the year. I'm saying this as someone who's not played a single one of these.
Well,
from what I hear and from gameplay, and like I can tell if I'm gonna enjoy a game before playing it.
Yeah,
I would enjoy Sekiro. I'm the most out of these games.
I'm kind of blown away by how many categories they have here. Like the
indie one, I also I completely goofed that and I read the wrong one, so I'm gonna mention that now.
Mm-hmm.
It was the new independent studio. It just had a weird name, so yeah, I goofed that one.
I kind of like this. This is kind of crazy. They have a category called Best Ongoing Game.
Yeah, Fortnite will win.
Yeah, I think Fortnite will probably definitely win that. You know what stinks about that though is I understand there's a lot of people who also why is World of Warcraft not on here? They have Destiny 2 on here, but they don't have World of Warcraft and they have Final Fantasy 14. Get out of here, Game Awards. Like, World of Warcraft should absolutely be. I mean,
they didn't pick the judges, from what I know from Funhouse, because they're one of the judges. They were given just a blank, like they were given the category. They submitted their own versions, and then they got all the judges do that, and that was the top voted things got in there. So it's not like the Game Awards picked them. It's not like the Oscars. But the Oscars kind of like that too.
So there's not like a selection committee that I could complain to.
Well, yeah, you could. You can look at the judges and you can complain to all of them individually and be like, "Why did you pick World of Warcraft, you nerds?"
Okay, so just for record, I want to make this really clear. I do not care about Game Awards enough to complain to anybody about it, but I'm a little sour, but I'm not gonna complain or start a petition or anything. Please don't lump me in with those complainers, the constant complaints from everybody that we talked about it. We complained about the complainers last episode, so that was
I just want to mention
interesting.
this also before we get to the next topic. Sports game of the year, only FIFA is the only EA one, and 2K didn't get a nom. So
2K
shout out to you, EA.
Wait, what are the nominations for best sports game then?
Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled.
No way.
Dirt Rally 2. PES 2020.
Okay.
F1 2019. And FIFA 20. Which FIFA will win just because FIFA's FIFA.
I mean, I want to say that Madden should be in there, but I don't know that Madden 20 is that good of a game. Like it.
I mean, also, I don't think the judges play sports games.
It's very true.
So the FIFA nod is just because FIFA is the biggest sports game, and that's like there's no argument. It sells the most, has the biggest budget, has the biggest EA studio that makes sports games.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to believe, but a lot of people, when they think EA, especially here in America, they immediately talk Madden, but, FIFA is a much bigger IP for them.
Yeah, FIFA's huge.
Worldwide. Yeah. So I also remember the days when FIFA was not a very good game, whereas now it's recognized as a pretty solid soccer title.
Yeah.
I just wish Madden could get there.
All right. So we have like, I guess we go to my bag of questions since we have time.
Let's go to the bag of questions.
So for like the past 2 weeks, I've been accumulating random questions to fill up time. And since we had a short week, because we didn't record till late last week, We don't have a lot of topics. So, first one. This is a fun one. I really want to ask you this, and I keep on forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
Low key, this is the reason I made the whole thing.
Okay.
Have you ever tried Jankum?
I don't think so because I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what Jankum is?
No, what is that?
So it was huge back in like the 2000s. It was a drug that was started in, I think, Africa. There's a viral video where you poop in a water bottle and let it ferment, and then you huff the gas and you get really high.
Yeah.
So you huff poop gas.
Okay.
I really I've been wanting to ask you that for like a week, or like not a week, for a couple weeks.
Out of all the questions in the world, I never thought it would come to this. First off,
that's the weirdest one. The rest of them are normal.
I mean, no, this is that. God, that's entertaining, but no, So first off, I've never heard of that.
It was huge on like
really?
4chan. Yeah.
Really? I wonder if it even works.
Yeah, there's like a huge I don't know where to find it. The YouTube channel Wang has a video on it. If you want to check that out.
I will definitely check it out, but no, I've never done it, and now that I know it's a thing, I feel very confident in saying I would never do it. Now, I'm very scared about what I'm about to do right now. Andy, have you ever tried it?
No, obviously not. Kidding.
You gotta watch the video version to see what just happened there. But yeah, that's just so bizarre, man. You know, it's kind of like when I was a kid in the 90s, there were people who found out, like, if you got like Cheese Whiz or like Ready Whip or whatever, I don't know, the stuff that sprays out of a can, the aerosol can, you could like really quickly huff the gas and get high. And I always thought to myself, like, how did someone discover that? You know, like, that's just such a weird thing to even try. But I don't know. I guess people do anything for a high.
Yeah.
So that's one of the most bizarre questions ever.
More basic question. What side of the bed do you sleep on?
I mean, laying down, it's the left side. Because I sleep closest to the door. Because my wife prefers it that way.
Yeah.
Which side do you sleep on, Andy?
Oh, just the middle.
The middle? I mean, when I was single, I could. But, like...
sometimes, you can see my bed. I put my head, like, basically, like, my head's against the wall, but my legs are coming out, like, diagonal, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
which is impossible to do if you're in a relationship.
It is totally impossible to do when you're in a relationship. You know, my whole life, I've only lived with 2 women, and it was significant portions of time in between living with those 2 women. Like, so
yeah,
my first girlfriend, moved in with her, and it was one of the bigger mistakes I've ever made in my life. It really actually, like, it kind of emotionally scarred me. I don't want to get too touchy-feely on this podcast. But
no, bring it in. What's her name? How long did you date? I'm kidding.
So her name was Jenny. We dated for...
That's Drake's girlfriend's name.
Yeah,
Coincidence?
Yeah, we dated for, like, I think 6 months. I'd have to try.
You moved in?
So I was young, dumb, stupid, and thought I was in love. So I met her, and she, I guess, had a crush on me. My friends told me.
How old are you?
Oh my God, I was 19. So I was 19, meet this girl, and move in together because she got an apartment, right?
Yeah.
And this was in the works well before she met me. But what I came to find out is I think she just asked me to move in with her because she needed help with the bills. So we were, wildly in love, so to speak. And, I move in and everything just fell apart from there. Like, it was I could tell some pretty dark stories. It is a pretty dark time in my life, but it was a pretty bad breakup. Came home one day. I don't even remember. Oh, I do remember what happened. I messed something up when I was cooking, and she basically then started an argument. And within 5 minutes, I was told, "I don't love you anymore. You need to get out." So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna grab what I can." But I was driving a Honda Del Sol, and if you don't know what that car is, please look it up. It was one of my favorite cars I've ever owned, period. But I was driving a Honda Del Sol, and I'm like, I cannot move all my stuff right now. Like, I literally can't. And she's like, no, you need to take everything. And I'm like, no, I'll take what I can, and I'll come back tomorrow. And I grabbed what I could. I went back to my mom's house, and I stayed there. And I went back the next day, and I remember opening the apartment door, and all of my clothes, all of my belongings were just in a giant pile, like a pile of garbage. Yeah. And my friend, my brother, and his at the time girlfriend helped me in a very ashamed manner put all my crap in my mom's minivan. It's pretty dark. I was emotionally scarred from that, man. I didn't have another girlfriend for like years because I thought I wasn't good enough for anybody. If you're out there, don't let a girl do that to you, man. Like, if you're out there and you're a younger guy, there's always something else out there for you.
Can't say my first girlfriend experience was anything similar.
Let's hear your first girlfriend experience.
So, we started dating.
Uh-huh.
She mentioned marriage within the first 3 days, and I said, "Das vidanya."
Yeah, I was a weird guy, man. Like, at 19, I wanted to marry that girl, And then that's kind of mid-20s. I was like, I don't want to get married right now.
That's kind of the point of these random questions, because,
Yeah, we went from talking about huffing poop gas and to me talking about how I was emotionally scarred for years because of my first girlfriend. There's some similarities in there. I guess so. I was definitely huffing something when I was 19 to think that whole thing was going to work out.
All right, Alexander, Film Club this week. It was my pick, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, directed by Terry Gilliam.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your tweet was about this.
Nope.
Oh, you tweeted that you wasted 2 hours, and I was like putting things together. But what do you think of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? And sorry, before you get in there, this is your spoiler warning. There is timestamps if you want to skip ahead if you didn't see it, or you don't care that you're going to get spoiled for a movie that's 20 years old.
I always feel kind of sheepish when I say the spoiler warning, and it's like something like Apocalypse Now that came out 40 years ago. So
I mean, people get mad, like, oh god, I was gonna watch Citizen Kane tomorrow, but you told me.
I just bought.
I'm not gonna say
Vudu.
it, but
I just bought it on Vudu, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. You ruined it for me. I don't know, man. This was the first time I've ever seen this movie. I've heard about it a lot over the years. Just another one that kind of went off my radar screen and never went back to it. 98, I was 13, so I was way too young to watch something like this at the time. Yeah, there you go. So, it's definitely my first time watching it, and I caught it on Netflix. So I'm assuming there's only one cut of this movie. I was shocked that it was over 2 hours long. I have no idea how they managed to stretch this movie concept into 2 hours. The cinematography is good, really good, really unique.
Yeah.
Feels very similar. Like some of the shots really reminded me of, and I wonder if some of the people that worked on this maybe worked with David Lee Roth on his music videos, because they had a lot of those like really up close shots, like
Yeah. I mean,
in the face.
Something Cal when rewatching though, the style of filmmaking is different depending on which drug he's on, and like the filmmaking style is like the same as the trip that he's going through.
Yeah.
So like when he's on LSD, it's super wide angle, and he sees like the lizard people.
Yeah. That just really reminded me of David Lee Roth music videos for some reason, because there's a lot of that in there. I don't know, man. Obviously, the soundtrack's a pretty strong one because it has a lot of classics in it.
Yeah.
I don't really remember there being many original pieces as part of it, but I know that there was a composer for this film, so there was obviously some kind of original music thrown in there as well. Acting is really good. I think it's a good performance by Johnny Depp. I struggle to see why this is a classic, though. I mean, like, and I'm trying to be as delicate as I can, because I realize what I'm...
No, lay it out.
Well, what I'm... Okay, so real quick, before I do this caveat, what I'm suggesting for Film Club this week is not a good movie, and I realize it, and it's literally a bad movie night type film that I think people will enjoy because it's Thanksgiving
If you're
related.
an old school fan, you'll know.
Yeah, so I want to be really clear. Like, so me complaining about this movie, if you're going to immediately say, well, your Film Club for next week is the infinitely stupid, I get it. But, like, I struggle to see why this is so well regarded as a film. And I think it's because what I view as a good film and what maybe Andy views as a good film there is some contrast there. I think it's like a Venn diagram, right? Where there's like some overlap, but then there's some other things out there, right?
Yeah.
So, I know that the intent of the director was very direct, and he said something along the lines of, I wanted to make something that was well regarded but also hated by people. And I think that I'm, unfortunately, I wouldn't say I hate it, but it's pretty close. What I struggle with is I don't get any kind of takeaway from it thematically, right? I
mean, that's kind of the point of it.
I get it.
The point of the movie is to be pointless.
I know, and that's why
one of the points.
Yeah, that's why I struggle with it. Is I like, and this may be me being a little bit too vanilla or boring. I like to walk away from something with a message or some sort of, like, it evoked an emotion or it said something about society. And I think there's hints of that, like, I think this does say something about our society and like what kind of a place Las Vegas is. And you could probably get some of that from it, but where I struggled with it was just that thematically, it felt very empty. And obviously that's, as Andy said, that's the intent, but it's just not my personal flavor, if that makes sense. As a wise man once said, vanilla or chocolate, which one's better? Well, I like vanilla, you like chocolate. I don't care. Eat your chocolate over there, but I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm as long as I don't have to eat the chocolate, that's fine. But I wouldn't watch this again. I think it's an amazing performance by Johnny Depp. The cinematography is amazing. It's very creative. I'll give it that. But from a meat and potatoes story perspective, it just fell flat for me, and that's it. Andy, I want to hear
dogs barking, but
yeah, I want to hear all about why you think this is such a great film.
All right, so it's based off of a novel by Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, a savage journey to the heart of the American dream. And kind of as you said, the movie's pointless, but if you dig deep into it, there is some meaning. It's about how the American dream is a lie, and you have to be asleep to believe in it. And you can kind of see like excess consumerism in the background, and how people in that era use drugs to cover up, like to kind of cover up, and then slowly through the movie, it becomes a nightmare, and you're like, this sucks. The American dream really is just about company profit and how politicians control you and you're not really free at all. We're just kind of digging deeper in the movie. That's what the book's about. I think the movie's more about how it's kind of about life, like how in the race, the point of race is to get to point A to point B, and each scene, there's like, you know how movies are predictable and you can kind of tell what's happening. This movie, you no idea what's happening. It's completely random, like how in life, everything's complete, like scene to scene, like day to day is completely random. If that makes any sense.
Mm.
I think this movie is hilarious. I love the score. Like Benicio del Toro, you didn't mention it, has an amazing performance in this.
He does.
Johnny Depp is incredible. You can't they're so good you don't know it's them unless you look it up.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I just really like Hunter S. Thompson as a person.
Yeah.
Like I've read into him. I think he's a crazy person, crazy interesting person to study. I don't know. The cinematography is incredible. The score, this is incredible. The acting is incredible. I ventured into Terry Gilliam this week. I haven't really touched his works, and this one is the least craziest out of the ones I watched, which is kind of saying something. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a pretty accurate to the book adaptation. There is a different adaptation called Where the Buffalo Roam or something like that. Well, Bill Murray plays Hunter S. Thompson.
I've heard of it. Didn't see it though.
Sorry about the whole background noise.
Sounds
but
like
yeah, this movie you saw for the first time. When I first saw this, I watched it like every night for like a week, and I showed it to Drake, and I don't know, it's just incredible. Like, it's not a movie, it's an experience.
I mean, I get the underlying theme. Now that you mention it, I can see that. I just hate I hate the way it goes about it. I try not to be negative, but I'm not a fan of illegal drugs. Weed, fine, whatever. They should legalize it. But all that other stuff, the LSD and the acid and all that, it's terrible. I don't like it. Like, I know that's the point. There is a point to it. It's supposed to be excessive and all that. And like, I know somebody's gonna be like, well, you drink beer, Al. Like, I get it. Whatever. But, like, one part of this movie that was really uncomfortable for me was the young girl that was painting. Like,
yeah,
that was a little dark. Again, I realize it's supposed to be dark. I realize it's supposed to offend the senses. I just didn't like it. I mean, start to finish, I don't dig it. Visually, I think it's just brilliant. And it like I said, it does have that killer soundtrack, but I just, the content itself, I just couldn't get into it. But like, that's gonna happen. Like, it happens with everybody, man. Like, I've had people tell me, I think Midnight Cowboy is like an amazing movie. It says all this about friendship and what it really is to be family, and like, it's a wonderful movie in my opinion. But I've had people watch Midnight Cowboy and say, I think it sucked. I mean, well, I know you didn't say it, but I have one friend in particular.
I meme you and say it sucks, but
no, I have one friend who, I'm not even in contact with him anymore. wish I was. It was just one of those people that I lost touch with that I wish I hadn't have. And I was like, yeah, man, I watched Midnight Cowboy. I thought it was just brilliant, man. It was just totally brilliant. So he goes home, he watches it. This is back when it was on Netflix. Next time I hang out with him, he's like, I don't know what you saw, man. That movie was terrible.
It wasn't Avengers. They didn't have superheroes.
No. Nah, man. You know, like he had a pretty discerning taste. I think that, you know, I don't know, man. Usually you can tell pretty quickly what you're dealing with in terms of somebody's, I guess, knowledge of film, based off of like, just ask them like what a few of their favorite movies are. And if that list starts with Avengers, you're probably dealing with someone who doesn't watch much. Not that they that's so funny. It's just like, it's not that like people that watch those movies are necessarily bad when it comes to film. It's just usually the people who list that as one of their favorite movies of all time probably don't watch enough film to have a very like a varied opinion on things. I don't know. Anyway, you spoiled it with your Letterboxd rating for this. So
yeah.
Andy,
I mean, I always put Letterboxd.
What do you rate it out of 10, man?
It's a 10 out of 10. I had it as a 9 out of 10 before watching it this time. I was like, no, it's incredible. I moved it up to my 4th favorite of all time. And I'm after thinking, I don't know, if someone asked me what my favorite movie is, it may be this. Like, Shawshank is my favorite movie of all time, but it's such a bland answer. And I think this is my rankings is Shawshank, Synecdoche, New York, Hereditary, then this. I think that's the most fun one to say is my favorite, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's tough for me to just pick one, like just off the top of my head.
Also I have Pulp Fiction ranked out of it. I have this at 5th. Pulp Fiction's a 4, which you love. It's your favorite movie of all time.
Let's not get into that unpopular opinion that I have of anything Quentin Tarantino. Anyway, we're really far apart on this one. I had this rated. I feel so bad. 3 out of 10.
This is the farthest we'll ever be, probably.
It just doesn't resonate with me, man. And like visually, like I said, visually it's good, and there's some really great acting performances in there, but I could not get into it, man. Could not get into it. I'm interested, and please tweet us.
I mean, I went into it. I feel like, I don't know. I know a lot of people that love this movie, but was hated when it came out. So I'm sure there's other people that hate it.
I really want
everyone I know likes it.
Anybody listening, please tweet us. Please leave a comment on YouTube. We're in the process of you can email us at alex@deadchannelduo.com or andy@deadchannelduo.com. We'll have those set up by the time this is released. I want to hear it, man. Like, what were your thoughts on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? And like, did it land for you? Am I an idiot? You can send me an email and say, Alex, you're an idiot. I'll take it. I think
this is the farthest disconnect between, obviously it was. It's the next closest was Dread or Another Earth. Dread I gave a 5, you gave a 9. Another Earth I gave a 3, you gave a 7.
There's a good example. I think Another Earth is a beautiful story about redemption and second chances and choices that we make in life that we don't think about that could impact us forever, right? And I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I think everybody should see it. But Andy was just like, oh look, and I feel like this is my Another Earth. This is Another Earth.
Don't be ashamed of hating on it. I wasn't ashamed of hating on Another Earth.
I know. Oh god, I love Another Earth. I kind of want to watch it again.
You want to know a funny one? I think you're going to change your rating after I say it. That was another one. I rated a 3 and rated a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Absence of Malice You gave a 7.
It was good, but it was boring.
It was the most boring movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
I don't know. I liked some things about Absence of Malice.
You know that director is an Academy acclaimed director.
It doesn't surprise me.
He directed a Best Picture.
It doesn't surprise me. I don't know. He
directed Out of Africa, which is one of the worst Best Picture movies ever. I'm currently working through all the Best Pictures, so I don't know how my personal rankings, but from what I hear, it's awful.
I don't know. But please tell me what you thought about Fear and Loathing. Now, on to my pick for next week. As I just kind of said some mean things about a movie that a lot of people like, I'm going to pick something that I think is one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen in my life, but it's also somewhat brilliant. And it's Thanksgiving themed, because Thanksgiving is going to be it's right around the corner.
This was going to be the pick next week on the episode that we stopped doing the podcast.
We had a thumbnail on everything.
I mean, I angrily made the thumbnail.
I know.
If you can dig it up, that'd be good.
I'm gonna have to find the thumbnail, but yeah, it's ThanksKilling from 2008, an independent film that I think was made on a $3,000 budget. It might even be lower than that. It is not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, it was made on a very limited budget by some film students, but I hope you'll like it. It's Thanksgiving themed, and that's why I picked it. It is one of my favorite bad movies of all time. It might be my favorite bad movie of all time.
Have I seen it before? Yes.
Yeah, and you can buy it on Vudu for $9.99, but you can also watch it for free with ads. So,
and it's also on our favorite website,
Tubi.
Tubi.
It's on Tubi.
Free.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Most people out there.
My next pick is also gonna be on Tubi. So shout out to all the Tubi guys.
Yeah, man, Tubi. Keep going, man.
We need to get a sponsorship.
We really should, dude. DCD Film Club, sponsored by Tubi. Anyway.
Use code DCD for 0% off your free movie.
Like, what are they even selling? It's kind of weird. So, yeah, man, check it out. And, you guys, I hope you like it. Anyway, moving on to sports, light week in sports. Just doing our week 12 picks. For some reason, I keep saying 10. Every week.
I think last week we said 9. So
jeez, I don't know.
In your mind, you're getting it right. Like, week progresses. Starting off, we have Thursday Night Football. The Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans, and I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans.
I'm gonna go Colts.
Then we have the 3-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the 3-7 Atlanta Falcons, and even though they're the same record, very opposite sides. Like, very opposing football teams. Atlanta's looked incredible the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about it 2 weeks ago, 2 episodes ago, 3 episodes ago. I was like, Dan Quinn should get fired. You want to know something weird? Dan Quinn gave up. He let the defensive coordinator pick the players on defense. Ever since then, their defense has looked incredible, and they're 2-0. So Dan Quinn's probably going to get fired. But as I'm saying that, Atlanta is going to win this.
Yeah, I got Atlanta here. I like how they're gelling lately.
But it's a division matchup. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
We have the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to go with the 3-7 Denver Broncos.
I like the Bills at home.
Then we have the 2-8 New York Giants against the 4-6 Chicago Bears. A bunch of bad teams playing a bunch of bad teams. And I'm going to go with, I guess, the Giants, just because it's not a fun pick, but the Bears aren't a fun pick either.
I think the Bears walk away with this one, but I don't think it's going to be a very pretty game.
I just think Daniel Jones will outscore Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, and Khalil Mack just hasn't been the force that he's been lately, and that Bears defense has kind of looked but I'll go Bears here anyway.
Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the 0-10 Cincinnati Bengals. And now they're the 0-11 Cincinnati Bengals. Going with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's got to go with Pittsburgh here.
We have the Miami Dolphins at the Cleveland Browns. Going with the Cleveland Browns. Do you go with Miami for the 4th week in a row?
I do. I do. I don't trust the Browns. I feel like this is a trap game for them. I think, not having Myles Garrett and it's going to be a tough game. I'm going Dolphins here.
We just passed an hour, by the way. Fun fact. We had the 3-6-1 at Detroit Lions at the Washington Redskins. Detroit Lions. It's not a tough pick.
Yeah, Lions.
We have the 5-5. I skipped one. We have the 6-4 Oakland Raiders at the 3-7 New York Jets. And going with the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, Oakland's sneaky. They're having a decent year. They're tiebreaker out of the playoffs, so I'm going Raiders here.
I mean, Sam Darnold sees ghosts, and Casper the Ghost played for Oakland. It's a simple pick.
Wow.
The 5-5 Carolina Panthers at the 8-2 New Orleans Saints. I'm going with the Panthers to get an upset. Surprising upset. Which I'm probably going to lose that one. I'm not that confident in it, but
I just don't see it. I like what I'm seeing from the Saints lately. They've been executing well on both sides of the ball, so I'm going Saints.
We have the Seattle Seahawks at the Philadelphia Eagles. Gotta go with the Seattle Seahawks. Fun fact about the Eagles, Michael Thomas has more receptions than all the Eagles receivers combined.
Wow.
Michael Thomas has 96 receptions. The Eagles wide receivers have 93.
That is such a weird stat, bro. But it really says a lot, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Zach Ertz is probably the best receiver on that team right now.
And then Dallas Goedert.
That's healthy. Yeah.
Dallas Goedert's having a good year.
I don't know how in the world Philly... I mean, I get that it's a West Coast team going east, and that's usually not good. But, I have no idea how Philly is a 1-point favorite here. I almost want to lay some money on this one. But I'm going Seahawks. And I'm so sorry, Eagles fans, who constantly annoy me on Twitter. That offense... should
Kyle.
Well, no, Kyle's one of the good. Yeah, Kyle's one of the good ones. Just like Colby is probably like the most tolerable Cowboys fan ever. But there's a couple Eagles fans on my Twitter that are just like obnoxious. I just don't know what's going on with Philly's offense. Like, they should have won that game against the Patriots. That defense did everything it could to get them in a winnable situation. So. I'm going Seahawks here anyway. Sorry for my rant.
The dogs will not shut up. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans. And I know I said I'm out on the Jacksonville Jaguars until they bench Nick Foles, but it's the Titans, and the Titans are like the ugliest team ever. I can see a weird Titan win here, but also Titans also win every time they play the Jaguars. So it's really dumb, but I'm going to go with the Jaguars.
So I'm going Titans for the reason you just said. Like, even when the Jaguars were, in my opinion, Super Bowl contenders a few years back, the Titans absolutely had their number.
The Titans have their number.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's something the Titans know about the Jaguars, and they always seem to win. So I'm going Titans, bro.
Then we have one of the hot games of the week, the Dallas Cowboys at the New England Patriots. And I'm going to go with them boys. The first time I'm going against the Patriots this year.
This is another one of those lines that really confuses me. They have the Patriots as a 7-point or 6.5 point favorite. And I think
3
even
points
if
for being at home.
Yeah, and I think even if the Cowboys don't win this game, that they're not going to lose by that much. But I'm going Cowboys here with the upset.
We have the game of the week, the 8-2 Green Bay Packers against the 9-1 San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers.
Are you kidding?
No.
Really?
Even though last year the 49ers played a 33-30 game with C.J. Beathard at quarterback against the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really convincing myself to pick 49ers now. Fine, I'll do it. I'll pick my favorite team, 49ers. But I think the injuries is going to hurt the 49ers.
Is Emmanuel Sanders playing?
Yeah.
49ers.
George Kittle is he practiced, but he played at non-contact.
If they have Kittle, I think they definitely
if Kittle
win.
plays, the 49ers win.
Yeah. And I like the Packers, by the way. I think this is a must-see game, in my opinion.
Yeah, they flexed it to Sunday Night Football.
It's just,
because it is the game of the week. Because the NFL's smart, unlike the NBA.
The NFL is like so much better when both of these teams are good. I mean, I remember as a kid both of these teams being good, and it was always fun to see, Brett Favre and the Packers versus Steve Young and the 49ers. It was just always a treat. So I'm glad that both of these teams are back at the same time.
Yeah. And if you're Adam Silver listening to this, please flex your games.
It makes so much more sense.
Last night, a prime game was the Mavericks against the Warriors. The Warriors that don't have anybody, the Mavericks won 142-94.
Just feels like it'd be something so easy to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, just like I was thinking maybe they have like the way that they sign like the deals with the TV companies, they can't do it. But I feel like ESPN will be completely fine picking a different game.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes way more sense, like, to me, if, like, they would just do it where, okay, most games either start at 7 or 10, right? And you pick one East Coast game, one West Coast game a night, and you play that. Like, that makes way more sense to me.
Whichever one is the most intriguing game.
Yeah, and I get that, like, some people would say, well, then you'd end up, like, with way more Lakers games. But that's how it always works out anyway. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of.
Would you rather watch the Mavericks versus the Warriors, or I don't know, a game that was played last night, or like the Lakers against like the Jazz, hypothetically?
That's
or like I'm trying to pull up the games from last night. The Bucs Hawks would have been more interesting. The Magic Raptors game would have been more interesting.
I love this one. TNT tonight, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Pelicans, Suns.
Yeah. It's not that bad. They're surprising. The Suns are surprising this year. They got destroyed by the Celtics. Celtics are great.
Yeah.
But with that being said, go back to NFL. We have one more pick, Monday Night Football. Ravens, Rams. I'm going with Ravens. Alex is going with Ravens. That's your podcast, Alex. Finish the show.
How do you know I'm going Ravens?
Because you do it every week.
Oh, I'm really sold on the Ravens.
You do it every week, and I'm aware, and you're aware.
Yeah.
The Rams haven't been the Rams of Rams past.
That's very true. There's also a really good article, if you like anything about the NFL, I suggest reading on ESPN. They covered in great detail the whole story of the Rams and Chargers going to LA, and how it so far it really hasn't been working out as well as they thought, because they didn't do much research beforehand. Anyway, that is gonna be it for DCD 56, guys. As always, I want to give you a couple pieces of information, cheap plugs basically. T-shirt link in the description, as always. In addition, there's a link to our Patreon, patreon.com/DCD podcast. Either one of those helps us out a lot, keeps the show going financially, because it is not free to produce this kind of content, mainly because of podcast hosting. I want to give big thank you to all of our Patreon backers. Dumbest Sphinx in the egg tier. It's $1 a month. You get early access and all kinds of other perks. Bobby in the Andy tier, and Daniel and Jared in the gold tier. So thank you very much for your support. It means a lot to us. And then finally, you can leave us a review on iTunes. That's free. Helps us out, helps more people find the show. And then you can go to deadchannelduo.com. You can find us on every place that we're available. We're on most podcast hosting sites and YouTube as well. Annie, anything else you want to talk about?
I normally plug my favorite teams, but I feel like this is more important. If Alex puts them in the description, there'll be links there. You need to educate yourself on the whole Copa FTC thing, and there should be a YouTube video in the description. It's really important that because Copa is trying to basically destroy YouTube right now. So check that out. There'll be a link to a YouTube video explaining it, and then there'll be a link to the FTC where you can personally give a comment on it, and then there's a petition to not allow them to destroy basically everybody on YouTube.
Wow. Yeah, everybody go check that out. Right now.
It's really serious. So
yeah, it is pretty serious. I'm glad Andy brought it up. All right, so that does it for DCD 56, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.